welcome to Never Enough Gaming. This is episode 19. Today I got Silent with me, and we're talking about Blazblue, Calamity Trigger. Yeah. So let's start with, am I pronouncing that right? Blazblue?
Yep, that's how you pronounce it.
Awesome. So, whose idea was it? Did I ask you to do this game, or did you ask me? I can't remember.
So when I found your post on Reddit,
Right, yeah.
and then I reached out saying, "Hey, I'm interested in taking part of this because I know a lot about the series and been a big fan of it."
Awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty new to it. I played it like a long time ago, but I was younger, and it was just for the fighting aspect. I didn't pay attention to the story at all, you know.
Yeah, the story itself is it's a bit of a, how do you explain it? It's
insanity.
It's insanity, and it just the more you try to dig into it, the more you're like, what kind of hole did Arc System make, or Smoke, or whatever? What kind of hole did they dig when they were trying to make this story?
Right. I mean, I was doing some research on it, and then I started wandering off to the stuff after Calamity Trigger, and I'm like, oh no, there's a lot here. Let me just stick to this for now.
Yeah, with the story itself, you kind of want to just take your time with it to understand everything. Otherwise, you're not gonna understand it the more you go into it, unless you like pay attention to every single detail.
Well, the cool thing about it is, like, I played each story like in a row. Like, I played Ragnar's, then Jin. I just went down the line, and you know, your first playthrough of Ragnar, nothing is making sense. But by the time you finish, like, Hakumen's story, every fighter's story gives you just a little bit more information that you need that fills in the blanks for the other stories.
Yeah.
Which I think is just amazing.
Here's how
like,
you
if you win...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, here's the thing with the stories. Like, for every character, yeah, each story has a bit of lore that explains to the final story. But if you're like me, who is sometimes a completionist, you want to 100% everybody's story. But then you find out, in order to do that, you have to lose every fight, win every fight,
Yep.
win certain fights with a distortion finish, astral finish, or just a certain win condition to 100% everybody's story. And I've done that. Oh my god, I hated doing
It sounds crazy, man. Because, like, with like, it doesn't tell you which fights that you have to go back and lose.
Oh no, what I did is
get that 100%.
Yeah, so what I did is I looked up a guide, and there was like a little branch of every single fight or every single story fight for a character to win with, lose with, like, you know, do a finisher. Like, it was long. Like, doing... Let me
if you
just
don't
say,
do it that way...
Tager's was probably the easiest. I think Tager's was the shortest story, if I remember. I'm not sure. But, yeah, there was just a lot to do with the story.
Yeah, Tager's was pretty easy. I was surprised how much was in Tao's. She gets all over the place.
Well, she doesn't really have a brain for... Well, you know, she's not really intelligent, so she'll just go wherever. She's like that one stubborn house cat.
Stumbles on to... Yeah. Let's talk about the opening real quick. So in the opening, there's like a lab in space. Is that right? Then they open a place that's frozen in time, I think. And there's this energy called Seether. And it's like this big red, like, creature that it shows that is the Seether, I think. I think this causes the lab to go in Earth's orbit, and then a laser shoots down to Earth, causing it to be kind of an apocalypse. And back on Earth, it's kind of a hellscape now after that, and you see a child with a marking on him standing there in tattered clothes in a burning building, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I made my notes for this opening, nothing made sense.
Yeah,
But
again, like the more you had to like piece it as you play through the story. So like yeah, the
yeah,
story
it's just
begins with like you have Ragnar as a kid in the nursing home that he grew up with, and then like there's also that whole prologue as well with the Black Beast and the 6 heroes. Yeah, the story itself is so convoluted. First, you have like the prologue, which is basically the origin of the Black Beast and how the beast itself released the Seether, pretty much infecting the entire landscape, destroying all of the world, and for any
so the
building.
Beast released a seat there.
Yeah, yeah. If I remember correctly, the
Oh,
beast released the Seether.
that sounds right, if I remember right. Um, so I jumped into Ragnar's story, which they all have a little subtitle. This one's the Grim Reaper, and it shows the aftermath of the explosion. And well, actually, first, who are your mains in this game? Like,
Honestly, I don't necessarily have a main when it comes to playing like the first game. It was just more of like messing around. But I think the
yeah,
closest would be Ragnar and Hakumen.
oh yeah, they're great. It's probably Jin for me. There's some characters I just sucked ass as, like Carl. um,
I'm sorry. I feel bad for the Carl mains.
I mean,
It how he's actually one of the hardest characters to play.
he is, but I was playing with my son, and I got him cornered with Nirvana, and I just kept using the doll to smack him. He was getting so mad. But it's good for that. But he's really difficult to play as. So is New 13. My hardest, I think what I was stuck on the most was trying to get a distortion finish of New 13 on Jin, on her story.
Mm.
For some reason, that took me forever, like 20 tries. But
Yeah,
I'm not good at the combos anyway, in the first place.
yeah. The combos, the inputs, they can be hard depending on what you're playing as, or what. Yeah,
Yeah,
what you're playing on.
I
Because
mostly play, the simple, like Mortal Kombat combos.
yeah,
That's what I'm used to.
but
What'd
yeah,
you play it on?
for me, well, I actually had Calamity on PC. So
Me too.
what I did is I connected my Xbox controller to it just to play the game.
Yeah, now you used, bought it on Steam, used PS5 controller. I was using the keyboard at first. I was like, no. This isn't gonna work. Um,
I've seen people play characters on PC, play the characters on PC. Is like, how do you know how to do all the inputs, what you need on like an entire keyboard?
it's so weird doing those inputs with the keyboard. It just, I don't know. I would try to do the inputs with the D-pad sometimes, and it would be alright, but I still didn't quite get it down. I was using a mixture of the analog stick and D-pad. What do you use?
Same thing, mixture with D-pad, but now like since I've understand like the inputs, I kind of just relied on the control stick more often.
Yeah, eventually, well, some people's, like, do you use the distortion finishes and astral finishes?
Uh, depends on the person.
Right.
Depends on who I'm playing against. If it's somebody I enjoy playing with, then I'll just like play until my heart's content. Try to get a distortion in, but if it's somebody I really hate, I'd probably want to astral them more than anything to prove a
Right.
point.
I was horrible with Rachel, and then my son gets on and starts fighting me, and he just, I don't know, something clicked with him. He was destroying me with Rachel. I was horrible with her. um, who else
It's
is?
always the zoner. It's always the zoners.
It's bro, that fucking. I'm tired of getting electrocuted. Leave me alone.
You either get you either have a pumpkin being electrocuting or a frog walking up to you and electrocuting you.
Right. Yep. I like Tao a lot. Tao's a really fast, kind of crazy fighter. Arakune, is that how you say his name?
In the sub, yeah, in the Japanese it's Arakune, but in English it's called Arachne, which honestly, either way.
Yeah. How do you like playing as him?
Oh my god, I don't know what the first thing I'm doing.
Right. Like,
It's literally just projectile spam for me.
yeah, he's Kind of plays like he acts. He's just an unpredictable madman. Then you got Booby Lady, Lychee. um, and
I
she's
am down
great.
bad for her.
Oh yeah, love her as a character, and I love her as a fighter. She's badass as a fighter too.
I think she's the only character I managed to like mess around with and almost knew what I was doing, but this was like when I was playing like, like the newer, like the more recent Blazblue games.
This is the only one I played, so I'm gonna jump the Continuum Shift after this.
Oh boy, you're in for a fun ride with Continuum Shift.
I think I'm going to just jump into the Extend version, because that's like the ultimate version, right?
Yeah, so what with the sequels, there's the regular version and the extend versions. You're better off getting the extended versions because there's content in there that's not in the original versions of both Continuum and Chrono.
So might as well get them.
Yeah, just get Continuum Shift Extend and Chrono Phantasma Extend if you want to play the game and learn more of the story.
Hell yeah! All right, and then we got Bang, which is Shigami. He's quite the character.
Every time I look at him, I just think of a human, like a flying squirrel.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of what he acts like too.
If you have Goku and a flying squirrel mixed together, you get this guy.
I can see that, yeah. Did you do the true ending?
Oh yeah, I did the true ending for the game.
Awesome, hell yeah. I didn't quite get there, but I did look it up.
Well, it's not real. Well, for the true ending, you don't really have to, like 100% every character's story. You just got to play through everybody's story, and I think the actual requirement is, I think it's just. Oh, I know. I'm thinking of continuum shift. Just
like, I know you got to do quite a few like astral finishes if you're 100% bar filled and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how exactly you get the ending for Calamity.
So let's go ahead and jump in the Ragna story, and it's the aftermath of the explosion, and there's 3 siblings, including a little girl who's barely breathing, and this is where Ragna says this is where you learn to hate everything. And I think it shows a clip right before the explosion. Ragna's by the river talking about his sibling, and here's an explosion, and the church is on fire. And you save. Well, hold on. You save your sister, right? I think, in the beginning. And then your brother Jin is acting weird and starts like maniacally laughing, and you get that little close up of his face. It's all creepy. And all of a sudden your right arm gets cut off, and then Jin starts laughing and taunting you, and he's with some weird man, and he takes your little sister and leaves you there. I think I got all that right.
Yep, the building burns down, your brother cuts off your arm, and leaves you to die, essentially.
Great setup. And time passes, and you wake up in the church rubble, and you see the destruction and pass out again. And then, time jump, you're grown up, still having nightmares about that day, and then Rachel appears to you. And she's like a pale vampire. She's dressed up like a Victorian era doll, pretty much. And
who happens to be 100 or so years old.
Yeah. And she has a big cat that can kind of like... It has like Jake the dog's powers from Adventure Time.
Yep. Her cat is Nago, if I remember correctly. And she can use him as a shield or a defensive.
Umbrella.
Yeah, a shield or umbrella. And
or
then you
we'll
have
straight up
Guy.
turn him into a shock chair.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that. This is shield, the shock chair. And then you have Guy, which is basically a little flying bat. It could just be simply thrown.
Yeah, it's just there for comic relief, really. And yeah, her little creatures are talking shit, and then she, smacks both of them as she does, and um, she calls you a rare beast, and Ragna says, "Shut the hell up! You're more of a rare beast than I'll ever be, vampire." And she stuns you, and then she starts talking about the hefty bounty on your head, and then this is your first fight. Um, I didn't. Were there any like specific story fights that gave you much trouble that you can like specifically remember?
Hmm. In Ragna's story,
I mean, like in
I
any in general, really.
honestly, I think it was probably Carl, just Carl,
Yeah,
just Carl,
same. New was like that for me at
because
the beginning, but then I kind of learned how to use her.
this is like when you have like when you have a character that relies on a puppet for most of your fighting combos. You're just like, what am I doing? How am I supposed to control this doll? And
Yeah,
then I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm more of a rushdown player anyway, so I just use Carl to fight. and I and the if there
yeah.
was
I
any
don't
times
want.
I actually had if there was any times I actually had to like do a finisher, I had to look up his kit on the. I had to pause the game and look up his kit.
Definitely. And if you're trying to fight just without the doll, I was trying to do that for a little bit, and you just have to get so close to do any attacks of Carl, because this little, like, wooden rocking horse he attacks with is just no reach at all.
Yeah, to be completely honest, Carl by himself, he sucks.
Yeah.
He just sucks. You have to have Nirvana with you, otherwise you're just downright fucked.
I need to look up how actually badass players play as Carl. Um, but I bet it looks pretty cool.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. I will never play a game like this online. Get my ass handed to me. There ain't no way. These.
I've played with a few people online, and I'll admit it. I will never be as good as them.
Yeah,
Because it's years of experience for them, and I'm just that casual player.
right. I'm still looking at the menu to see what moves do what. I'm still like, D is A, right? Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Um,
when I was starting out, I didn't understand this whole the D, the B, the C, the A, like what did these button inputs mean?
yeah, I've always had trouble with that stuff. Like, I love Street Fighter, but I'm bad at the combos for that. And like, I'm a simple man. Just give me Mortal Kombat and Tekken. I can read those. um, but this is definitely going to get me more into fighting games like this, because by the end of this, I fucking loved it. I bought it on Steam and like probably 3 weeks ago, and I think I got like 45 hours or something into it, and yeah, I
Did you
love
buy
this
it
thing.
when it was like on its mega sale, which is like the bundle of getting like all four games in one, or did you just buy this
I
Calamity
just
by
bought
itself?
Calamity Trigger. Yeah, I didn't buy the whole bundle.
Mm.
I think I bought it like right before the spring sale came on, or the summer sale, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Which
I would I would recommend buying it when it's like when it has the mega bundle on sale because you get all four games in one.
yeah, I'll probably get that when it's on sale again. Because even though I have Calamity Trigger, it's still probably worth the price.
Yeah.
um, that's what I love about Steam. Just give me them sales.
Just mega sales and buying games that I've always wanted at a lower price than on the console itself.
Yeah, but then the problem is I'm stuck. My Steam library. I think I just reached 710 bought games. So
Jeez.
I, and that's just on Steam. I have my PlayStation library is overfilling. I got like 400 bought games on my Xbox One. I need to figure it out. And being able to emulate with my Steam Deck doesn't help with my millions of games problem either. So you beat Rachel, and
Mm.
she talks some more shit, and well, no, her little minions talk more shit, and, then her butler, Valkenhayn, do you know how to
Valkenheim.
say it?
Valkenheim.
Valkenheim. Okay. He enters, and he's her butler, and he informs her that breakfast is ready, and that he recommends that she avoids men of lower class, like Ragna. And, she's like, yeah, okay. She leaves, goes drinks her tea, as she does. And you head towards the 13th city. Uh, you want to say the name of the city?
The 13th hierarchical city, Kagutsuchi.
Thank you. Thank you for taking that one for me. And then what I love about this is, like, a lot of fighting games will take you all over the world, and this game's just in one little area, and I kind of like that. It's a little contained story.
Mm.
And then you enter the sewers under the city, and you feel a ghostly presence in the sewers, and it's Arakune. And he's a creepy little creature, and I love his dialogue because it's all broken up, and you can't quite get what he's saying out, and he has a maniacal laugh.
There's a setting in the store, like when you pause the game itself, you can turn on Arakune text. That way, it can say what he's actually saying. You can understand what he's saying. So that's a little neat thing that helps out.
Hell yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, and he's just yelling at you about Azure, I must have it, and then you fight him, and you're about to kill it, and a girl named Lightshoes stops you, and she begs you not to do it, and says she will take care of it, and she's looking for a way to save him. And this is your first branch, and at first I said, I don't have time for this. We really don't care about what happens to him when we leave. And you're looking for the library branch to destroy it. The moon is bright tonight, and Ragnar recalls his brother telling him how the moon would scare him as a kid because he thought it was going to fall. Which is interesting, because I'm playing Majora's Mask alongside this game.
That damn moon.
Yeah. And you get to this place where there's no guards in the branch, and you just push the door open, and, Ragnar yells out, Mr. Grim Reaper here, I'm here to invite all you guys to the underworld. And Jin comes out, and he says he's trying to kill you for the bounty on your head. And he says he'll be happy to kill you again, and fight. Great fight. I always love the Jin and Ragnar fights. They feel like good battles. I mean, when I'm... Some characters, you get into a fight and you're like, alright, this is going to be over in 2 seconds. But these fights are actually pretty cool. Like, I think we said earlier, Tager's story is pretty easy, because he can just demolish through everyone.
Yeah, his playstyle is grappler, so you basically just, well, as the word sounds, grappler, grabber.
Yep.
You just grab them and beat the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
You throw them.
He's just like the Hulk. He just super smashes and stomps, and yeah, and he does a lot of damage.
Who has electricity in his body. He's
Right,
basically
yeah.
a walking magnet.
Yeah. And my kid always hated when I play as him, because I would just not even let him get a hit in. It's great.
I have a friend who dedicates to playing Tager, or not just Tager, grapplers in general. And sometimes I win, and sometimes I get pissed off.
Yeah, I like Tager, but what kind of kills me with them is he can't run, and I kind of like being fast.
Yeah.
So he's fun to play as, but I never go out of my way to play as him. I really only played as him for the story, or if I wanted to piss someone off.
Technically, you could move faster with Tager, but you gotta double tap the movement, just to granted, it's more like walking speed when he moves.
Yeah.
But that's the fastest you're gonna go with him.
I feel like you'd be a little too overpowered if you're fast too. So you beat Jin, and you let him go. he says you're too soft, and that's why you can't protect anyone or anything, and then you knock him out. And you destroy the branch, and you go looking for something called the cauldron under the building. And all of a sudden, you can't move your right hand, and you feel fear, and you're terrified of the guy in front of you, and that's Hakumen. He calls you the Black Beast, and Ragna claims he doesn't know him. And he wants to see you expunged from this world, and he talks about cleansing the world and the fires of destruction and just that kind of stuff. I love this guy. And
do you know who's under Hakumen's suit at all?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want me to reveal that to you, or do you want to play the games to find out for yourself?
Is that revealed in a future game?
It's not really revealed. It's more hinted, but
okay.
As you play, you put two and two together.
You can go ahead and tell me.
It's a future version of Jin.
Okay, that all makes sense with the dialogue. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, in the true ending of this game, Hakumen talks about how this is really how my past self fights when you fight Jin. Okay, yeah. That all makes sense now.
It's a Jin from another timeline, essentially.
Okay, cool. And he's beating you, and he gets like stunned, and he says, "How dare you interrupt me, Grimalkin?" And then he disappears. And this is what I love about this story is in everyone's story, Hakumen's just kind of this mysterious figure, and nothing really makes sense, but when you play through his story, there's so many things you can piece together now.
Yep.
I just love how it works. And another thing is, like, if you get beat, that ending for you will be another story's success. You know? And everything just kind of ties together. It's a beautiful loop.
Yep. It's just a big time loop. Like a constant... I want to say, like... Think of it like a Mobius strip. It's just a huge, sort of like infinite time loop.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know this was going to happen when I played the game. I had no idea what the story was about before I played. So, I was just kind of expecting with this game I didn't know the story was going to be like this. So I was like, okay, I'll be in arcade mode with every character, get their little ending or whatever, like most fighting games. And I'll be ready to discuss this game in just a few days. But no. There's a lot more than I thought here. So he disappears, Hakumen does, and the cauldron awakens, and you get a scene of like a fiery pit opening beneath the branch, and a big crystal thing comes out of it, and you go to destroy it, and then you get shot at by Noelle, and she kind of sounds like a robot here. I don't know if I missed something, but is there a reason she gets like that?
Okay, wait, you're talking about Noelle, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so the thing with Noelle is you know how New sounds sort of like Noelle?
Yeah.
Well, it's because that's because New is actually a clone of Noelle.
Oh, okay.
And Noelle is also one of these types of dolls like New. And then later on, you'll find another one called Lambda, who is also a clone of Noelle. So there's Lambda 11, New 13, and Noelle.
Hell yeah! All right. I assume all this happens in like this. Does Continuum Shift like pick up after this leaves off, like story wise?
Yeah, like once you get the true ending for Calamity, you go straight into Continuum Shift.
Okay, cool. So you fight Noelle, and your power starts to fade, and Jin comes in tackling Noelle under the cauldron, and that's what, he's like, don't kill my brother. He wants to kill you. Nobody else is allowed to kill you. and this causes
Yeah.
it to explode. And Rachel, and this destroys the city and everyone. And whenever this happens, just rewinds the time loop, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Rachel
Because
comes.
that
Sorry, again.
it's because that ending you get for Ragna in that story, that's actually, believe it or not, that's his actual ending that's his true ending in the story, in his story.
Yeah, that blew my mind because I got this ending first, and I was like, okay, let me go back. And I was like, oh, this is the true ending. um, yeah.
I, you have no idea how many times I replayed through Ragna's story trying to 100% it. Always got that ending.
Man, there's so much there. I was stuck on him. I didn't quite get him to 100% because somewhere along the way I failed to lose a fight with someone. Now I gotta go figure out who.
Here's what I did. I did multiple save states in my runs.
At like
so
the
I
branches?
was able to, yeah, the branches. So like,
Should've done that.
so whenever there was a branching path, I saved. I saved like 2 separate files and just went on both of them, and then when I was done with one branch, I went back to the other save file, played through that, went through every specific save state possible, and pretty much eventually 100% Ragna's story.
Yeah, that's the way I should have done it. I did this whole thing on one save file. I should have made that easier on myself, but I didn't. So anytime I have to go in.
Yeah, they give you multiple. They give you multiple save slots in the story, so I would recommend using all of them if necessary.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that for the next game. Especially since, there's more characters and even more to do, probably.
Yep.
So, everything gets destroyed, and Rachel comes in with a cryptic speech saying how nothing will change, and it will always be like this. And then this is, the end.
Yep. That's Ragna's story.
Yep. I'm looking at his other endings, see if there's anything really worth noting about. Yeah, so this time I went back, and Arakune, I said it's too late to him, I'll have to rip him a new one. And Ragnar says move or I'll cut you down. He'll light you down, and Arakune. And she asks if we know anything about the grimoire that we're carrying. And Ragnar kind of backs down, and Ragnar says, fine, that dirty rag is all hers, and if it gets out of hand, to toss it into an incinerator. And Ragnar's annoyed that he might be getting soft, and he was so caught up in thinking about this, he just ended up in another part of the town. And I love that just tiny little things will completely change where a character's going. And
Yep.
That's just cool. And Tao appears, Taokaka, and she's a demon cat lady. Sort of. I know.
Yeah, the human. They're actually humanoid, or not really humanoid. They're called beastkins. They're
Yeah.
basically human/animal hybrids.
And they're kind of like looked down on, I think, because they live in the under part of the city, and like they even put a big metal plate there so they can't get sunlight.
Yeah, compared to everybody else, they're pretty much despised.
Yeah,
because of their low intelligence and pretty much everything. Their housing, their intelligence, their food, like they're judged easily.
Yeah, I mean, they jump people for food and they sexually harass people.
That's just how Kaka, the other cat, like Kaka clans, they're okay. That's just how.
Yeah. So she calls you stupid a bunch of times, and she wants you to feed her. And she said a rabbit person said that a foolish white-haired gentleman will come by and, get her food. And you two decide to have a fight over who buys lunch. And, yeah, you do that. And you two go get lunch, and she says her goal is to become rich. And she hands you a wanted poster, and it's of you. And
it's the ugliest drawing of Ragna ever
Yeah,
created. Like the library, the NOL library. I'm pretty sure they're doing that intentionally because every game I've played, when I see a wanted poster, it's that ugly face every time.
even in the
Like they
later
don't
games.
even in the later games. If you ever see a wanted poster from them, it's that same face.
Why the fuck do they do that if they want to catch you? Oh, also, um, with the fighting games, isn't there other Blazblue games that are like different genres?
Mm.
Like, I think isn't there like a visual novel one or something?
Oh, you're thinking of X Blaze. Yeah, X Blaze isn't really a fighting game. It's a visual novel. You basically have there's different story paths you can take though. It
And
is X Blaze is part of the Blazblue story, but it's just basically a different universe.
okay, and then there's Central Fiction. Isn't that like the newest one? I think.
It is the fourth installment, and it is actually considered the final game of the series. Blazblue Cross Tag Battle is actually the latest Blazblue game, but it's more of a spin-off and
Right.
fan service game.
Yeah, I saw it had like characters from Ruby and other stuff. You said that's what got you into BlazBlue, right?
Yeah, so this for me when I was minding 19, 20-year-old me was minding my own business, scrolling down the PlayStation store, right?
Yeah.
I see BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle $5 on sale, and I'm like, okay, this looks interesting because I see Ruby and Weiss, and at the time I was more into Ruby than anything. Right next, because I was a big Rooster Teeth fan.
Yeah, me too.
So I bought the game, and then was trying to play Ruby, and then I see Ragna. I'm like, all right, why does this guy look like a Dollar General Dante to me?
Damn.
So I started playing Ragna with Ruby, and I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. I want to know who this guy is, and then so I started playing their separate stories, and I instantly got hooked on BlazBlue, Persona, and Under Night more than Ruby. And then that game,
And you got it for Ruby, right?
yeah, I got it for Ruby. Stayed for the other three series, and pretty much my love for Ruby died out because of what happened with Rooster Teeth and everything.
Yeah.
And with Persona, Under Night, and BlazBlue, I got into their series way more, and loved every single character from each of their series.
Under Night is a like Birth or whatever it is. I see that
Under-
game all over the place. I just haven't played it yet. It's another good anime fighting game series.
Yeah, Under Night in Birth. It's probably like I honestly think it's the oldest out of it's like kind of like old compared to like BlazBlue
Yeah.
because its first game came out back in like 2011, and it was just basically an arcade boot of the game, and then eventually they got console ports for it.
Okay. Wasn't I think wasn't BlazBlue arcade game too, and they ported it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both BlazBlue and Under Night were started out as arcade games.
So you fight Tal over lunch, and yeah, she shows you the wanted poster, and she's gonna find him and become rich. Yeah, and Ragna takes off, and outside is Bang, and he stops you and says you fights in the name of love and justice. And you're a villain on a wanted poster, so he's gonna fight you. Afterward, he just takes off, and
You there?
yeah, I think it. Okay, yeah, everything goes normally until you get the Hakumen, and then he's about to kill you, and Jubei intervenes, saying Ragna can't die yet, and Hakumen disappears, and Ragna recognizes Jubei as the strongest living creature on Earth, and he's your master, and he starts smacking you around, and he tells you to leave this branch alone, and you do. So you head out and have dinner with Tal, and turns out both of you are broke, so you dine and dash. And turns out the diner was full of bounty hunters who recognize you, and you're worried about yourself being a laughing stock for dining and dashing. Then it ends. It's just one of those goofy endings.
That's I call that. Well, they're not really introduced to like the second game, but I call that the gag ending.
Right, I think I saw some endings being referred to that, so they refer to that in the second game as gag endings.
Yeah, they're like little scenarios. They're part of the branching paths, so
yeah,
they're funny. They're definitely worth your time if you want to like 100% everybody's story.
Yeah,
they're definitely worth it.
Plus, they're fun.
Also, let me just say this: no matter if you win or lose against Tao, Rogn is buying lunch, and that's what I hate.
Right, Tao ain't got no money.
I don't even think she knows how money works.
I don't think so.
That's how like low intelligence she is.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason she bumps into everybody is because she's either hungry or got lost.
Or if it's a woman, just casually boop ropes them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's that ending. And this time I went back and used the Black Onslaught, his Ragnar's astral move, to get a different ending. And I chose to ignore Arakune and Lychee. And this time after you beat Jin and the Cauldron awakes, new 13 comes after you. And she asks you to come kill her again. And Ragnar's confused. And she says you two will keep fighting till the end of time, and you call her a bitch and fight. I don't know, Ragnar just doesn't... He has no time for any of this shit.
Yeah, so... You know how I said, like, to me he looked like a Dollar General Dante?
Yeah. I'm
like, man, this guy really is like Dante.
Oh yeah, down to the personality.
He's, like, the more I got into his character, he's more laid back, but also kind of a dick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually...
And then seeing Jin, and I was like, oh my god, is this their take of Dante and Virgil? Because, think about it, Jin being the brother, wants to kill Ragna. Virgil wants to kill Dante. They both have swords, and both brothers love fighting each other.
And they both had a horrible family accident in the beginning. Like, what the fuck? That's pretty great. That's actually a series. The only Devil May Cry game I played is 5.
Oh,
but
you are missing out.
I loved it. I loved the hell out of 5. So actually, for the show, I think I want to go back to DMC 1 and complete them all and talk about them.
Okay, let me tell you this. Start with 3.
I was going to say, would that have any effect on the story, but I played 5 first, so that ended up me researching a lot of people.
So here's the thing with Devil May Cry. The game's kind of out of order. The third game, Devil May Cry 3, is actually the first game of the series. It's supposed to be the first game of the series.
Oh, so it's prequel?
It's prequel or origin story, basically.
I guess that makes sense. The subtitle's Dante's Awakening, I think.
Dante's Awakening, yeah. Then it's Devil May Cry 1, because you're introduced to Trish. You can actually skip 2, because it has nothing to do with the main story.
That's great.
or you can just play it. It's up to you. Then it's 4, then it's 5.
But what about DMC?
We don't talk about that. I refuse to believe it existed.
You know, we almost got DMC 2 instead of Devil May Cry 5. That was the original plan, was to make a sequel to DMC.
I refuse to look at that reboot. I refuse to. That is, every time I see that Dante, I just think Dante.
Yeah. Is the gameplay at least good in that game?
I don't know. I've never even looked at it.
Okay.
I just refuse its existence.
You're just like, yeah, that didn't happen. Fuck that. I mean, that's okay. I mean, they literally just tried to redo the game, and it didn't really work out.
But yeah, just you'll love Devil May Cry.
Hell yeah.
I would absolutely recommend it.
One of my favorite things about games are boss fights, and I love the boss fights in Devil May Cry 5, so, yeah. Man, Devil May Cry is honestly one of the best games I ever played. But we're not talking about Devil May Cry. We're talking about Blazblue.
Maybe in a future episode I might come back.
Hell yeah, sounds good to me. So you fight New, and then I think she's about to kill you, and then Jin tackles her into the core, blowing the city up, and time loop restart.
Yeah, so here's the deal with that. So when New stabs Ragna, she says that we were gonna fuse.
Yeah.
And no, we're not talking about Dragon Ball fusions here. That would be terrifying. But yeah, so when Ragna and New fall into the cauldron, what that does is it actually releases the Black Beast.
Hey.
Starting the cycle all over again.
Okay, the beast you saw in the intro.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So is the interesting. Okay. So then I played Jin's story, and do you like the way Jin plays?
Not really.
I hate fighting him. And I hate when people play as him because, stop fucking freezing me.
When I look at Jin, I think of two characters. One, Virgil, because, what I just stated.
Yeah.
And Kai from Guilty Gear.
I haven't played Guilty Gear, so that's another anime fighting series I really need to get into.
I wasn't really into it, but when my friends would play it, I'd be like, alright, screw it, I'll see if I can get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Jin with ice, or like, blonde hair, white, looks like a white knight, basically.
Yeah.
With ice powers.
Military guy with ice powers, gone rogue. Yeah.
Hates his brother.
Yeah. But nobody's allowed to kill him, except for him.
Yeah, he has a weird bloodlust / fetish for killing his brother.
Yeah, pretty much.
I dug deep into the internet, and believe me, there are some things I recommend do not going there to see.
I believe that.
But yeah, Jin.
So you're saying I shouldn't look up Tager on Rule 34?
God, no, do not. But I don't even want to go there.
It's a scary place.
Why would you even bring that up? That is horrifying.
I'll fuck with my wife, and I'll just, look up something from a series she loves on a show or whatever, and look up the most horrifying image I can find.
So you try to ruin a series for your wife.
Yeah.
If it exists, there's porn of it.
I never claimed to be a saint.
I mean, is anybody really a saint at this point?
Right. Alright, so Jin, you joined the Kisaragi family, and you obey their orders now. And he was sent to the military academy, and, people say you only got as far as you had because of your family name, and you arrive in the 13th city looking for Ragna. But you run into Bang, and he blames you for the blood spilled in Ikaruga. And
Ikaruga.
Yeah. You beat him.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Jin, if I remember correctly, is responsible for the murder of Bang's master.
Right, because in Bang's story at the beginning, he goes up to the castle to go find his master, and Jin's there.
Yeah, so they get into a fight, and if I remember correctly, Jin sustains a lot of damage from it, and he collapses, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
And thus, that takes Bang into keeping him in hospitality, essentially.
Yeah. And this is where you get a branch and you beat him. And, I don't have time for this, and you just kind of leave him. Then you run into Carl. And he's a kid with a big doll puppet named Nirvana. Also named Ada. also named his sister. And
was or was not named after the band. I'm just kidding. I don't know about that. But if that's the case, I wouldn't blame them.
Right, yeah. We can go ahead and make that canon. Why not? And yeah, he uses a stall to fight, and he's after Ragnar's bounty. Well, you think he's after his bounty. And you beat him, and he collapses, and you head off to the branch office, and Jin starts to freak out, asking, wait. Hold on. Where am I?
I told you, man. It gets confusing as it goes.
Okay, so you get to Noelle at the branch, I believe. Yeah, and then Jin starts to freak out, asking who she is, and attacks.
Yeah, so... here's another thing I should say. Or do you want to find out for yourself?
What is it? Go ahead, you can tell me.
Noelle is Ragna and Jin's sister.
Okay, I think I read something, like, eventually she comes back and she uses people as a vessel or something like that.
Okay, no, that's Terumi. That's Terumi.
Right, and that's who they say is coming back in this game.
Yes. Do you want me to explain the whole thing with Terumi, or do you just want to work along that as we talk?
We'll work along that when we talk, because I don't think you don't really get much about Terumi in this one, right?
No, he pops up like a few times in the game, but that's it. It's only when like the second and third game is where it becomes more relevant to the story.
Oh, is Terumi that fucking weird person that comes out when you're in Rachel's story and talks to Valkenheim?
You talking? Is he like a green? Is he like a man in a suit with green hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, technically that's Hazama. So the whole thing with Hazama is that, and this bothers me a lot because there are a few people on that have tried to explain the lore, and I know one of them, and I don't respect his work at all. It always bothers me when I try to watch his content. And what happens is that he claims that Hazama and Terumi are the same person, and I'm like, no, they are not.
Do they blatantly say that in the story? Like, no, they're not the same person.
No, it's explained later in the story, in the actual in the game's lore. But Hazama is a human vessel essentially, while Terumi is like this green, spirit, sort of like a ghostly spirit, if that makes any sense. But he's well alive, and Terumi basically uses Hazama's body as a vessel.
Okay.
And where did the body of Hazama come from? Well, that's explained way later in the story.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm here for, is this crazy anime drama.
But yeah, Hazama and Terumi are two separate beings. And if anybody says that they're the same person, you don't know the story.
So, you attack Noelle, then your hand is covered in blood and she disappears. And then you get the Ragna, and you say you just killed a girl that looks like her. Then you get excited that you get to kill Ragna again and fight. You fight him, and you go to kill him, but the cauldron cracks open, and Nu comes out, and you recognize her. And you fight her, and Jen says no matter how many times I stab or freeze her, she keeps getting up, and she's impossible to kill. And a bolt of light erupts from her body and slams into you, and you pass out. And she goes to Ragna, and she says that they can be together now that Jin is out of the way. And she stabs Ragna to become one, fuse, and they drop into the kiln. And,
And releases the Black Beast.
Yep. And
every story, I'm not kidding, I think every story in character story leads up to the cauldron, leads up to fighting Nu, and it either has Ragna and Nu fusing, or it just has them going their separate way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I'm like, after you watch it like the fourth or fifth, maybe sixth times, like, okay, I'm just skipping this. We already know we already know what's coming out of that cauldron.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you get to like the later people's story, you're like, all right, I already know what's gonna happen here.
Hey.
So Jen is, sad watching and falls in after them, and Rachel watches you fall in, and then you wake in some weird place, and Rachel asks if you would like to become a real hero, and then it ends. So at this point, I went back to the first branch, and instead of just leaving Bang, I say I must rid myself of any obstructions, and you either beat the fuck out of him or you kill him.
You kill him. You actually kill him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the branching path to where you get Jin's bad ending, I believe.
Yeah. And here, Jin talks about how he's disgusted by civilian peasants.
Yeah, because after Jin kills Bang, Bang's entire ninja troop essentially goes after you because you are wanted for killing Bang Shishigami.
Yeah. And, Bang has his own group of people. Then you run into Tager, who's this big red Hulk demon man, metal arms. And he's huge, and he's looking for Ragna as well. He works for the
NOL.
NOL, yeah. And for this ending,
not NOL, Sector 7. Sector 7.
Right.
That's where Tager works for.
Mm-hmm. And he takes direct orders from someone that we will talk about later. And he's looking for Ragna. And for the true ending, or not the true ending, for this ending, I think you have to lose in the fight. And you lose and you wake up with Rachel, and she brought you to her, like, weird goth castle garden. And you fight her, and I think she's, like, impressed. And you're transported back to the branch, and you see a shadow of Noelle, and you get the Ragna, and you get the scene you've seen before. And, you beat Hen, and then you fight Nu. And then you get the ending where you're saved by Rachel, and you wake up at the branch with Hakumen. And, let's see. For normal end 1, you have to lose to Ragna, and you get a flashback scene of Jin and 3 cadets, Makoto, Noelle, and Shibuki. And
Makoto, Noelle, and Tsubaki.
Tsubaki, okay.
Yeah, if you need, like, name pronunciations, I got you, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
I have been on a streak getting these name pronunciations right.
Oh, yeah. And if you lose to Nu, you get a scene of Jan and Noelle in a field together, and they kind of share a sweet moment. But yeah, that's Jin's. Then we go on to Noelle, the lost child. How do you feel about her fighting style?
Button mashing.
Yeah, just button mash, pew pew pew. And
a teenage girl with guns, what could go wrong?
Yep. And with her, you start with the inner monologue of Noelle talking about a white room with a white bed and white clothes, and she doesn't know why she's waiting there, but she is. And she tries to call out with people with blurry faces, but they ignore her. Then that ends, and it cuts to Noelle, and she's in the military. Oh, she's in the military, and she's investigating the whereabouts of Jin, because he was with the military, but then he went AWOL to do his own shit.
Yeah, he's wanted. Jin was wanted for going rogue, essentially.
Yeah. And they task her to go get him.
Yep. That's her story.
Yep. And yeah, she's been ordered to detain him, and turns out someone named Hazama is in the city looking for Jin as well. And she's ordered out. Huh? Hazama.
Hazama.
Yeah. Hazama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, in the Japanese voice, it is Hazama, so either way.
Okay. And she's ordered not to engage with Ragna as she sees him. and you meet up with Hazama, who catches you up with what's going on, and he warns you that bounty hunters are here looking for Ragna, and Carl arrives, and you know him from the academy. He dropped out.
Yeah, that's something that surprised me. So, when there's it's more explained more in the second game, but there is storyline of them being at the academy, and Carl was like 7 or 8 when he enrolled. He never had Nirvana. It was just him as like a little child.
So he had Nirvana as a child, still using it to fight?
No, he didn't fight at that time.
Okay.
But like, it was kind of weird seeing like Carl there, because like when the academy is meant for like mostly teenagers to adults, and then you see Carl, and I'm thinking, oh, he might be a prodigy then in that case. And I'm pretty sure Makoto is on somebody's watch list, because she tries being flirtatious with Carl, even though Carl's like 8 years old.
That doesn't surprise me in this game.
Yeah, let's just move on from that.
Right, yeah.
I'll explain more with continuation if you ever bring me back for that.
I'd love to. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Alright, so, yes, Noel and Carl, right?
Yep, and he fights you for information on Ragna, and you beat him and he runs off, and Hazama says the doll he uses is basically turning him bloodthirsty for fights. And you get a flashback scene of you and your cadet friends, including Jin and Carl. And y'all are kind of...
And Carl.
And Carl. No offense,
we got
Carl.
Makoto, Tsubaki, Noel, Jin, and Carl.
Yep. And everyone's kind of having fun, and, Noel kind of misses the good times, even though Jin is still a dick.
Well, I mean, it's funny how in the past with the academy, Jin wasn't really an asshole. He was just like that, that all-American top boy student,
right,
top of the class.
He's more of a hard ass, and also, I think, a little more, like, professional, and didn't want to kid around like they all were doing.
Yeah, Jin in the academy was actually way more caring, apparently, from when I was looking back into the story. He was more caring, he was more supportive, and I think when Noel got the top score, it made him a little jealous.
Oh, shit.
What was that?
It just spilled my
drop
straight
something?
everywhere.
Okay.
I'm
I thought something broke.
a disgusting little smoker. But that's what we do here in Kentucky.
I don't know how people could smoke, man. It's not for me. Like drinking, it's not for me.
I don't drink.
I know. I'm just making a comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink. I don't smoke.
Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
Born in Cali, living in Texas.
Hell yeah. I've been to California a couple times. I've only been to Long Beach and Catalina. But I fucking love California. Yeah, I live here in Kentucky, where we fuck our trucks and drink beer and beat our wives. Just kidding, not really.
That sounds like America in a nutshell.
America. Yeah, I was talking to this Irish guy, and I was like, does Ireland kind of look at America like the crazy drunk uncle? And he's like, oh yeah, definitely.
The only thing Irish is known for, or Ireland itself is known for three things: the beer,
Yeah.
the accent, and potatoes.
Oh yeah, potatoes. The potato famine. Anyway, so.
Oh, and football, and football. They love football.
And leprechauns, right? No, I'm just kidding. So. Then you run into Tager after this flashback scene, and you fight him because he won't stand down, and you have to special finish him, like with your distortion finish, your astral finish. I think to get the true ending.
I think for her specific on that one, you have to astral finish Tager.
then you get inner thoughts of yourself saying, it's not you doing the fighting, it's the weapon in your hands, the bulwark. And
Yeah,
you get a
it's
flash.
it's not really explained in the game, but apparently in the anime that they have, what is it? So Blazblue also has an anime, right?
I kind of want to watch that. Have you watched it?
I've watched it. I've watched it to its entirety.
Is it worth watching?
It's kind of worth watching because it's called Alter Memory,
Okay.
and it basically covers the first two games. That's
The
it.
first two games.
Yeah, with some filler
Okay.
in between, but yeah, that's how standard anime goes.
Right. Maybe I'll watch it
It's-
after I do the second game.
Yeah, it's
Fuck,
supposed to
man.
cover it's supposed to cover the first two games, but yeah. So like in the source with the anime, apparently the guns are communicating with Noelle through her mind. So I guess telepathically the guns tell her to make the actions, shoot, kill.
Yeah,
Do
because she
finishes,
says
stuff
she's
like
pretty
that.
much useless in combat without them.
Yeah. So essentially all the characters, almost all the characters have their weapons, right? It's called the
Yeah.
Nox Sectoris, which is basically
Mhm.
one of the numerous or numerous number of weapons they use to fight. So
Do
let's
they
see.
ever say where these weapons come from?
I think they're explained later in the game,
Okay. Okay.
but yeah. But Volberg is one of these Nox Sectoris weapons. There's 11. There's 11 of them, and they were all created by a phantom.
Okay. Then you get a flashback with the scene with Sabaki. That's your name? Is that what you said?
Tsubaki, yeah.
Yeah. And, she asks you to never change and all that, and you just have a sweet little scene. And you're in the bang, and he wants to fight because you're hard on his disciple, Carl. And you have to do a special finish here, too. And he calls you a bully when you beat him. And nothing is ever really serious at Bang, except for, his intro,
Yep.
which is super serious.
And that's all he's going for.
Yeah. Then you get to the branch, and Hazuma's here, and you run into Jin, too. And you order him to stand down, and he knocks away Hazuma and fight. Special finish here, also. And this is when I noticed, if you lose the Jin here, this picks up in Jin's story wherever you beat Noelle.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. And the cauldron cracks open, and you get a flashback of you thinking about you visiting your sick father, but you decide not to. And you learn all Noelle wants to do is restore the name of the Vermilion family. And New appears, and you get hit with a montage of pictures of Rachel, Ragna, Jen, and you fight her. You beat New, and you're back in this white room you were talking about in the beginning, but this time it's a little different. There's someone pointing at a mirror, and Noelle thought the person in the mirror was her, but it's not. It's someone she recognizes. And then that's the ending.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I should have brought this up in Noelle's story, but there's a certain branching path where you fight Lychee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think depending on what you do for that branching path, if you fight against people and do finishers, or I don't know, I'm trying to remember what exactly happens, but Noelle, depending on the ending, if you lose to Lychee or if you win against Lychee, she'll make you wear a dress.
Yeah,
And in exchange, Noelle gets to abusively pet her panda.
yep.
That's how I remember it. If I'm right.
Yeah, this second ending route is full of all sorts of weirdness. If you lose the Tager, you get knocked out, and you wake up at Lychee's clinic, and she says, "Of course you didn't beat Tager. You're a girl." And Then you run into Bang, who thinks you're a guy because of your breast size. And this happens a lot. Noelle gets offended. Rightfully so.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, yeah. He bumps into you and he's like, "Hey man, watch it." And you're like, "Hey, I'm a girl." And he's like, "Oh, according to your bosom size, I couldn't tell."
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to explain that too. Noelle's age in the game is it's a yeesh out of 10.
Wait, how old is Noelle supposed to be?
She is a 5-year-old in a 17-year-old body.
She what?
She's her actual age. If you look it up, her canonical age is 5 years old.
Oh right, because she. Okay, yeah. Well, that's not good.
She's a 5-year-old. She's a literal 5-year-old stuck in a 17-year-old body.
Then she's 5 and 17. None of those two things are good.
Yeah, that's going to be on. And there's a certain watch list for some people. Going back to that one person I don't respect.
Fair enough, absolutely.
No, I'm being serious. Like there's this YouTuber and he is like
Obsessed.
Not even the obsessed. Like I'm pretty sure he has a religion towards Noelle.
That's so weird, man.
It is bad. And like every thumbnail I've seen in his videos has like his character or himself as like an OC.
Yeah.
And Noelle just being in it. And I'm like, dude, what is your issue with this character?
That's so creepy, man.
And it just he has a huge praise for Noelle and a huge praise for the voice actress who voices her in the dub. Who is Christina V, who voices characters like Shantae, Ladybug. If you watch Miraculous Ladybug, like there's a lot of characters she's voiced.
Oh, really? My daughter watches that. 16-year-old.
She voices, I think, she voices a bunch of different characters ranging from shows, anime. Like when you watch like a lot of TV series, like, and you try to put the voices together, it's like, oh, they voice this character, they voice that character. It's kind of like finding out when what is it? Johnny Young Bosch voiced Yuna Akami Adachi from Persona, but was also a Power Ranger.
Right. These voice actors, it's always interesting to look them up because they'll have like 100 roles and just like that little role, and you'll know like maybe quite a few of them. It's like, oh shit! I always love looking that stuff up.
Yeah, it's always a fun like little like scavenger hunt finding the characters that the voice actors voice.
Right. Yeah. So you fight Bang for being sexist and weird, and he runs away, and Lighty catches up with you, still wanting to dress you up, because he really wants to dress you up like a doll. And you let her put one outfit on you, but she's not done, and you run away. And then
this story goes for like 3 times, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because you run in the towel, and you ask her to point Lighty in the wrong direction, and she agrees. So Lighty comes up, and, Tao calls her booby lady, and
I can't really blame her with that one.
I mean, yeah. And she bribes Tao with food to find you. So she brings you to her, and then you fight Tao. And you gotta do a special finish. And since you're exhausted after the fight, Lighty puts you in a cat outfit. And you run away again, and you tell her you'll arrest her next time. But she doesn't give up, so you fight her. And you do a special finish, and she has a panda in her, like, isn't it like a panda in her hair, right? Or...
Yeah, it's a panda. It's an actual living panda.
Yeah. And you tell her you'll let her consider dressing you up if she lets you pet it. And now this ending's so fucking weird. You now live with Lighty, and you're like obsessed with the panda, and she's dressing you up forever and ever. So, like,
I don't know if that's considered harassment or purgatory.
Both, I don't know.
But yeah, the she's aggressively cuddling the panda, and you could tell that the panda's not breathing because it has like little like dots of sweat. Like I think there's like a blue line indicating that he's choking.
What the fuck? That's horrible.
It's just like, dude, Noelle, chill. It's just, like she. There's a reason why pandas are being considered endangered now.
Right.
Noelle's one of them.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And yeah, that's Noelle's story. Rachel Alucard, the bystander. And it starts off with her looking at the moon and saying it's time for it all to start again. And you're with your butler, drinking tea, and you're bored. And according to the Star of Ill Omens, the end of the world will happen again, so it's time to go. And you leave, and the butler's approached by a bright green, dark, weird figure. And is this supposed to be Terumi, or no?
Is it a creepy red smile?
It has like a weird, like its face kind of looks like it's drawn on.
Yeah, that's Terumi. It looks like a spiritual figure. That's Terumi. That's what Terumi's supposed to look like.
Okay. And for what I understand, at least from what I've seen, the only character they interact with is Falkenhayn.
Yeah, Falkenhayn is basically Rachel's butler of sort. Like think of him like a caretaker.
He just goes along with whatever the hell she says. And
yep.
Yeah, when you leave, he's approached by Terumi. Terumi. And it taunts you. Well, he does, but and you attack him, but it does nothing. And Terumi says we should be worried about Rachel, and he ends up leaving, and the butler ends up going after you. As Rachel, you get to the city, and you run into Carl, who mistakes you for a witch. So you tell him that his glasses do him no good, and they would serve him better if they were forcibly inserted into his mouth. And Nirvana reacts to you, and Carl says you're the only person other than him that Nirvana's interacted with. You end up heading off, and the butler arrives with Nirvana, and, well, to Nirvana. And he goes with her looking for you, because I guess the butler can interact with Nirvana. And you get to the branch and run into Noelle. And, you know, Rachel does her thing, talk mad shit, as she does, because she's kind of an asshole. Kind of like most of the characters in the game, really.
Yep.
So you fight her, and you get rid of her weapons, and, you know, it makes her cry, and she calls you a bully. Yeah, you just take your weapons and get rid of them. Yeah, you don't need these. Then you get the Hakumen, but you remember him as a hero, and now he's changed. And you fight him, and he disappears, and you say it's time to watch it all end again. And the guy talking to the butler in the beginning arrives, who's Terumi, and he calls you pretty sharp for a shitty vampire. And he just keeps going on about, like, you're just dirt, pretty much, and he leaves. And like I said, you're kind of a dick too, so it's not like you don't deserve it a little bit. But then there's a branch here, and he leaves, and I say, you know, he'll get what's coming to him eventually, basically. Then you run into Tager, and you need to speak to Kokono?
Kokonoe.
Kokonoe?
Yeah.
Okay. And
you know how earlier you were talking about how Hakumen like fades away by saying "damn you, Grimalkin," or "curse you, Grimalkin"?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Kokonoe doing that.
Okay, yeah, because I got that whenever you do Hakumen's story. It explains all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you fight Tager, and, well, you tell Tager that he's the key to activate the way to Kokonoe, I think. I was a little confused by this part. So you fight Tager, and the key activates when you beat him, I think. And you say, until next time, Mr. Red Devil. And you get to Kokonoe and warn her that the guy, the Shadow Man, Terumi, is coming for her. And it ends with you hoping that the seeds you planted will make for a good outcome, pretty much. And That's the normal end. Oh no, that's the true ending. Never mind. Yeah, yeah. And then the normal ending is after this. Teremi visits you. I say, why would I waste time with a charlatan like him? And this time Ragna approaches you, and he pretty much attacks right away, and you beat him. And you smack him around asking, after all these loops, why haven't he rose to the occasion yet and figured this shit out pretty much. And you grab him and tell him to never admit defeat and fight till your last breath, even though you're an ugly, pathetic, broken human. And you leave.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah. And, the end happens, and it repeats, and it ends with the opening of her story, looking up at the moon. Cycle repeats. And normal end 2, this time, you do fight Carl, yeah. After you beat Carl, you choose to teach him a lesson, but Bang stops you because, he's his apprentice. And you teleport Bang in yourself, and he tries to give a life lesson, and, Rachel ain't about that. So you fight, and you teleport and accidentally end up in the sewers, and Arakune appears and eats G. And, spits him back out, but, then you fight him, and then you say you're traumatized after touching that nasty creature, and for G to stay away from you, don't even want to smell it, look at it, because it's been tainted by the black squiggly. And after all this, Rachel's just like, I guess I'll just wait for this loop to end and try again next time. But that's pretty much Rachel's thing. She's just trying to guide the time loop, really.
You'll notice that the most significant characters are Rachel, Noelle, and technically Hawkman.
Yeah. And then we get the Tal's story, and she actually has quite a bit to her story, surprisingly. Yeah, her subtitle is The Innocent Heart, and it opens up on one of posters being sent out for Ragna, and one blows over to, the Tal's clan area. And
the village.
Yeah, they talk about how they aren't exactly cats and they're not exactly humans, but they're kind of a mixture of the two. And
yeah, that's why that's why they're like the actual species of them are called beastkins.
Beastkins, yeah.
This goes for any humanoid animal in the series. So Jubei, he's a beastkin.
Yeah.
Makoto, she's considered a beastkin,
even though she just has the tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's considered a beastkin.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever get to play as Jubei?
Do you want? Do you want the answer to that right now, or?
Yeah, sure.
No, you don't get to play him at all.
Oh, well, he is the strongest living thing, I guess. But,
yeah, but here's the thing. You can only play him in 2 games: Central Fiction and Cross Tag as DLC.
Oh, so he's a DLC fighter.
Yeah, he's DLC only. And it feels kind of rigged, or it feels like a ripoff, because for Central DLC, it's $11.
Just for him?
Just for him. In Central Fiction, there's only 3 characters that are considered DLC. Well, 4, technically. There's S from X-Blaze, one of the girls from the Academy, and Jubei.
Damn.
And each of them are like $11, $12 each.
That's my problem. I would buy him too. Yeah.
Jubei is actually very well. I in my opinion, I think he's one of the harder characters to play as for in DLC.
Huh.
Mai is honestly the easiest.
This one didn't have any DLC. Does like Continuum Shift Extend? That includes all the DLC, right?
No, there's no DLC in the 3 games.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, they live in the lower part of the city, these cat people, and a huge metal plate was put over their village, cutting them off from the city and light. And Tal's told by the elder that she needs to capture Ragna, so the elder can have lots of money. So, little cat children... Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, the little cat told her to tell you to head towards Orient Town, but, you know, I hit branch 2, which is, let's look over here instead. So you just wander off and you run into Lychee and Arakune, and you learn that Lychee visits the cat village to teach the children, and, everyone loves her there. And, you tell her to move over, and, yeah, Arakune knocks Lychee out, and then you fight. You beat him, and you go to eat him, but decide not to, and let him go, and he leaves. And...
Yeah, with Arakune, it's weird.
Yeah.
You're given a choice, I think, for every branching path is to eat them or let them go.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. But this time you're Tao and you get the option to eat him, but you decide not to.
I mean, who would eat black sludge?
Right. Don't eat the squiggly. And Lychee, turns out she taught Tao to be nice and, kind of mentored her a little bit. And Tao ends up forgetting where the hell she even is and why she's in the sewers. And then she just runs into Hakumen. Yeah. And he calls us pathetic, and Tao's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I am, where we are, what's happening, what's going on. And then he calls you Abomination, and then you fight, and you beat him, and you commence your cat DNA. But you can't fully take him, though. So you and Lychee flee. And, Tao's lost again, and you stumble your way to Kokonoe. Somehow. And you're pleased by the fact that she has a tail. And she says she can send you back home. So she tells you to climb into this cannon tube barrel. And she shoots you down into your village, causing chaos and a giant hole in the village where the plate was, and food falls into it, and light, and everyone's happy. The end. It's such a weird ending.
Yeah, Tao is. I think if I remember correctly, she has the weirdest story out of all of them.
Yeah.
There's not much explanation. Just, I don't know.
Yep. Just kind of stumbles her way to victory. In this next branch, we go to where, little cat children told us to go. And you're hungry and you bump into Ragna, so, obviously decide to try to eat him. And you beat him, and I guess there's respect because you guys are just like, alright, let's just go to a restaurant and eat. And you learn that Tao always keeps a plate with her just in case. And
Yep.
a thief comes and takes your food. And you chase after him, and then you somehow stumble into Rachel's garden. And you take a nap there, as you do. And Rachel comes over and steps on your tail. And I choose option 1, which is I'll never forgive you, and I'll turn you to rust with these claws, which I don't know how that even makes sense, but... Rachel ends up giving you some meat, but it's well done, so that's disgusting. So you fight her for it. And Rachel's tired from the fight, and she's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm gonna go have tea. And Tal still won't leave, so Rachel sees the poster of Ragna and says she saw him over there. And that's about it. Tal just goes over there. And then, Rachel tells G to do 100 laps around the garden for her entertainment. And you head to the city, and you run into Noelle, and she finds out that you know Ragna, and is suspicious of you. And, you say something about her small boobs, as you do, and you fight Noelle, and then you win, and you decide to go to sleep. So Noelle drags you to a corner out of the street, and you're woken up by Jubei. And he lies about having food. That's how he wakes you up. And you find out he's one of the founding members of the Kaka clan, the people that you are. And you ask him if he can help the clan and return this, and get rid of the shadow creature, Arakune. And he says you're powerful enough to do this yourself. And so we go back to the village. And at this point, I think the cauldron's broken open and the metal plate's open. So you just jump down there, and then you go all the way down through the ground to the sewers. And you get the Arakune again. You fight him, and you beat him. And you let it go and it runs away, and the little cat people above throw you a rope down so you can get back to the village. And Lychee arrives, and as you do, Tal plays it for boobs, and they celebrate the village safety. And as Jubei watches, and in the corner, creepily. Then it ends. Oh yeah, I like this one we're about to do. So this next ending, when you're at Rachel, oh, you try to eat G, that's right. And then Rachel ends up teleporting you up into the sky, and you come crashing down in the city, and Tal's just confused, like, what happened? Then you run into Mecha Tiger, who wants to fight. And, yeah, after this, you're invaded by Mecha Tals, just robotic Tal people, and, Tal's just confused the whole time. And the last one explodes, and you wake up, and I guess it was just a dream from when at some point when you went the hell to sleep. And Bang appears asking where you came from, and I just say I came from over there at a branch. And you fall over from hunger, and Bang thinks you're like a starving orphan and takes you in as an apprentice and gives you food and housing. And you learn, like, time goes on, and you learn that Tal doesn't really listen to him as an apprentice and just sleeps and eats, but, Bang sees something in her. And then it cuts to the Battle of Ikaruga?
Ikaruga.
Didn't this happen before, though? Or did this happen after?
Bang just basically shares a tale of the Battle of Ikaruga, which is...
Oh, okay.
He was there when it happened.
Gotcha. Yeah. And Bang assumedly ends up dying, which I guess is from that one ending that he has specifically, maybe? Where he dies and becomes a hero. But maybe, I don't know. But, and then Tal vows to avenge him. And, yeah, and that's pretty much it for Tal. If you do the other option for Bang, you imagine him as a steak and you fight him over that. But,
yeah, it does. It is weird.
Yeah. Then we get to Carl's story. Yeah. Promise. Begins with you in a nice field and you're with your doll sister, Nirvana. And you decide to go to Orient Town to find Ragna. And you run into Tal who wants to play, so you fight. If you lose, you're hurt. So I think you have to lose to get the true ending for Carl here. You're hurt, so Tal takes you to Lychee, and you run off and say, you'll repay her, but Lychee's kind of concerned with Nirvana. Then, she's like, I can't really let that walk around. Then Rachel summons you to your garden and paralyzes your sister, which makes it so in this battle you can't use it. Which is, a little tough. But you beat her, and she says if you want to control your sister, you're going to need a better Nox, like one of the weapons. So you get to choose whether to go after Noelle or Jin. It doesn't really matter. But I went after Jin, and this was one of my hard fights. Fighting Jin with Carl was pretty damn rough. But
yeah, it's again, Carl is... Without Nirvana, Carl is just impossible to play with.
Yeah, you just kind of have to cheese your way. Just spam moves and hope it works. Let's see. Yeah, after you beat either Noelle or Jin, you take their weapon. And you head down to where Ragna and Nu are. And you intervene. You tell Nu that you need Ragna's grimoire to turn his sister back. And you fight Nu. Nu's about to kill you, and then Lychee saves you. Then Nu scans Lychee, and Nu sees that, she has a 7% chance of beating her, so she abandons her plan and goes to fuse with Ragna.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that ending. This time, you beat Tal, and she wants to fight again, but you run away. So you run into Tager, and he wants to confiscate your sister, because he thinks we can't handle Nirvana's power. And you get another branch here, and I said, you can either fight him or leave. I left, because you say you don't think you can beat him now, which is smart. And you run away and you get teleported by Rachel, and this time I fought Noelle, and when this time when Nu goes to kill you, your sister jumps in the way and gets destroyed. And Carl goes like insane because she blows up in a bunch of pieces, and he starts like gathering the pieces up like JFK style, and then the loop ends and it explodes. And this is where you learn for the first time that your sister's name is Ada. You can like Carl, the voice acting's kind of great for this because you can tell he's like actually going crazy. Like his sister's dead and he's freaking the fuck out.
Yep.
Because he's terrified of being alone. But yeah. And next, this time you choose to fight Tager, and he decides to leave and deal with you later. So you run in the bang. And no matter the outcome, he takes you in as an apprentice, and you are content with this life in the end. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Carl. There's some pretty good story beats in there. I thought his story was pretty good, but it's just his gameplay I don't really care for.
Yeah. Do you want to know why his sister's like that?
I actually do. Yeah.
You can blame his father.
It's always
His
fathers.
His dad is well, let's just say he's fucked in the head. He was so like into his experiments, he turned his own wife and daughter into robots.
Oh, his wife too.
Yep.
That's interesting.
And that's why later in the game, later in the series, you get to play as him, and he's controlling his wife as
What?
yeah. You're basically playing it's basically Carl's kid, but as his wife.
That's so cool and weird and horrible.
It's basically just playing Carl on both sides.
Yeah.
But Relius's kid is meant to be like better. Yeah, his father's name is Relius Clover.
Okay, I came across that name doing some research. Okay. So next, we get to Arakune's story, Solve Equation. And this might be the one I have the most questions for.
Okay. This one, yeah, this one is, well, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, so, first of all, he looks cool. I even like in combat, he's like dripping. He's just so creepy and weird looking. And so it opens up on a researcher's room, and there's books everywhere, and papers, and clippings, and memos. It's just a madman's room. And he's talking about a thing that's looking for something, which I assume is Arakune is looking for something.
Yeah, so Arakune is looking for the Azure.
Yeah, because you get to choose to eat it later or not. So is this Arakune's room before you became that?
So Arakune was actually a scientist from Sector 7.
Okay.
His name was Roy.
Okay.
And Roy was so like dedicated into looking into the Azure that he was manipulated eventually, and he falls into, if I remember correctly, he falls into one of the cauldrons.
Oh.
And that's how he became that.
Okay. Alright. Because, I don't know, it might have said that at one point, but I might have missed it. Or maybe it just, like, didn't straight up say it. But...
Now, you know how, back in Ragna's story, how Lychee was protecting Arakune?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lychee was one of Roy's co-workers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lychee used to work for Sector 7.
Yeah, because you learned that in, I think Tager's story, you learned that, maybe. But
yeah. Yeah, so, and she did, well, if it wasn't obvious, she developed feelings for Roy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was willing to do anything to try to revert him back into a human.
Yeah. Then, okay, that's good background information to have.
Yeah.
So as Arakune, you get to the sewers, and you run into Tager, who tries to reason with you, and he kind of talks about who you used to be, and you start to get agitated, and you fight him, and this is a branch. Option 1, I eat him. They eat him, and then you get to Tao's village, and you try to eat the little cat people, but Tao intervenes, and then I ate her and the little kittens. Then you get another branch where you get to kind of choose where you want to go, and option 1 leads you to Ragna, and you get to him right after his battle with Jin. And then you fight Ragna, and you get another branch where you can either eat the Azure or not. I ate it, and this is when Lychee appears, and she says she's been looking for you, and she wants to take you home and find a way to turn you back, but you don't remember her or anything. And you fight her, but you don't eat her. Then you run into Hakumen, and he pulls Ragna out of you, because you did eat Ragna. Well, you do when you eat the Azure. So you fight Hakumen, but he gets teleported away, and he refers to us he refers to the Azure as a key, and Nu appears, and Nu says she will make us feel eternal pain for hurting Ragna, and this is pretty much the end of that one.
Yep.
So this time I didn't eat anyone, but it kind of all pretty much ends the same. Let's see. Another one ends with you meeting Bang, and you pretty much just say he smells dumb, and then you fight Noelle, and Noelle ends up killing you, actually. And, like, putting you in, like, some, like, trash thing, I don't know, incinerator, maybe? But, I don't... What exactly... Do you remember what happens at the end if you don't eat the Azure? Because
Honestly, I don't.
It's not the
been a
true
while.
ending anyway. So, but
Either way, the Azure doesn't really him like wanting the Azure doesn't really help with him in any way, shape, or form.
yeah.
Because he's just stuck like that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for him. Nothing too crazy, but then we get the Lychee, and her subtitle is Excuse. So you're in your office, and you're talking about finding him. This is also where you learn that everybody travels by airships in this world ever since the war. So you get to the port, and you immediately jump into a fight, which is like the only time this happens. Tao comes out of nowhere, and you don't even get a scene of her. It just puts you in the fight. I thought I missed something, but turns out she just jumped you because she wanted to play with you, and you beat her, and she accidentally gives you useful information about Ragna's location. So you decide to check out the alleys, and you end up running into Ragna immediately, and you get a branch of 3 options, and I think this is the first time, maybe only time, you get 3 options. I chose option 3, which you tell him to come back to your place. Oh, okay. So what I did here, I was going for the true ending for Lychee, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently you have to get a scene with Arakune playing as him to unlock the scene of Lychee. Her true ending. So I had to go back after this and do that, because I did Lychee's story first and Arakune. But, yeah, I chose option 3, which you tell him to come back to your place, pretty much, and Bang hears this, and he's disgusted that he thinks you're falling for this youngster, and you chase down Bang, and you fight him for eavesdropping, and he starts crying, and, you forgive him, and then you kind of just hang out with some kids, and it ends here. But,
Honestly, Bang is... I hate how Bang is, so, immensely in love with Lychee. But it's just funny how she doesn't even notice it. She just...
yeah.
It's just hilarious.
Even towards the end, when he, tries to sacrifice himself, he's just like, okay.
I think there was even a point where he flat out confesses his feelings to her, and she was like, I'm not interested in you at all.
Poor Bang.
I don't feel bad.
Well, yeah, he needs to chill. Plus, yeah, never mind. So
He goes from bad to worse later in the game. He like there's a segment where he talks about her boobs for like a good 5 minutes
in the later game,
in a later game in the series. Yeah.
sounds right. Yeah. For a Japanese fighting game, I'm surprised there's only one female fighter with big boobs.
Oh no, wait. There's gonna be like another one in the second game.
Fair enough. So this time with option 2, where you decide to stop Ragna because he's a criminal, and you have to do a distortion finish or astral finish. And Ragna runs away mid-conversation, just bails out, and then you hear a voice telling you to check the sewers. And the voice also says if we don't take care of him, he will. So you go down there and you run into Arakune, and you fight him and let him leave, and you decide to go to the professor. A professor, like, try to fix him. And who is the professor? Is it Kokonoe? No. I got a little confused with this ending, actually. Because, yeah, you fight him, you let him go, and then you, like, go somewhere and just try to, like, do some research on how to turn him back to normal. And you also decide that you're pretty content with the way you are right now. But, yeah, it's kind of weird. And that's Lychee. Looks like we got. And next we got Tager, the blind warrior, and you're in the city and you're on the comms with Kokonoe, and she reveals. Well, you learn that she even knows what you're thinking. She knows everything, and like you even start thinking about second thoughts. And she's like, "Hey, you're not made for thinking. Stop that." So you're looking for Hakumen, who's looking for Ragna, and Kokonoe is just a straight up dick. She's calling you stupid. I kind of feel bad for Tager.
Well, here's the thing with Kokonoe. She's just meant to be like that asshole scientist.
Yeah.
But Tager's story is a little more, I guess, tragic in a way.
Right. Yeah.
But it doesn't explain like why he's machined till like later in the series. So
it
all
doesn't.
this- yeah, there's a reason why he's a machine.
So you end up running into Tao, and she thinks you have food. Then she thinks you're a bad guy. So you fight, and then you head off, and you start to reminisce about the war. And Kokonoe tells you that, hey, you still have some cells in your brain, huh? Of your past self. And you end up saying something about I think a major or a general, a major, I think, that
Tager was a general. Yeah.
okay, yeah. You start saying something about that, and she doesn't like it and just hangs up on you. Then you run into Bang, and he thinks you're a vigilante, and you fight. You beat him and leave him there knocked out, and you go to Orient Town and run into Lychee. And this is where you learn she was one of Kokonoe's assistants, but went AWOL to find Arakune. And yeah, that's another thing I like. Like I said earlier, every story will give you more like input on another character. So if you're like really into the story, sometimes it's like worth it to go back and play through another character that you already beat, because something else might make sense that didn't last time. But yeah, you find Lychee, and Tager says he's going to have to report this, and she doesn't like that. So you fight. You beat her, and Jubei, one of the 6 heroes, stops you. He can tell you, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm just like, yeah, that's what goes in the story.
And he can tell you're not like evil and don't plan on killing Lychee, so he kind of lets you go with a warning, and that he'll take care of her. So you end up getting to the branch, and Jen is here, and he thinks that you took out everyone here, and that's why it's empty. And you say he's too dangerous for his own good, and you fight him. You beat him, and then you head deeper into the branch where you find Hakumen. And, he calls you Kokonoe's hound, and... oh no, you say that he's Kokonoe's hound, and that you need to bring him in. Yeah. And Hakumen also says destroying the Seether will bring even more destruction. And you slow him down so Kokonoe is able to teleport him. And this is where you learn where everybody else's story is he's teleporting, this is what's happening. Kokonoe is doing it after he's kind of weak in battle, after battle. And as he's teleporting away, Hakumen asks if, Kokonoe deserves our faith, and until we meet again, and he disappears. So you contact her, Kokonoe, and she's like being all nice and thanks you and apologizes to you. And I love how Tager's just like, what the fuck? What is happening to you? This is not right. And then, kaboom. Loop ends. And, that's Tager's true ending right there. I don't really have notes on the other endings. I don't think there was too much to note on. But yeah, it kind of, it feels kind of more tragic because you can tell Tager's fighting mentally with a lot of stuff, and everyone's just kind of a dick to him. Well, not everyone, Kokonoe. And then Hakumen's making him question things, and poor guy, yeah.
Yeah, Tager is one of those characters that's been through a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want me to share what happened with Tager?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, he was originally like a commanding officer of a sort, sort of like a general, or he was one of the two. But his unit was meant to take down a insanely powerful criminal called Azrael, and his entire unit got killed off by Azrael. And when it was just him by himself, Azrael ripped off Tager's arms. He's like one of the more dangerous criminals of the NOL, and his code name or his alias is called the Mad Dog.
Of course it is.
And he's let's just say he's a bloodthirsty, loves to fight, and is also a cannibal.
Great, hell yeah, it's super evil.
Yeah.
What game do we get introduced to him?
You get introduced to him in the third game, Chrono Phantasma.
Okay. Hell yeah. So next is Bang, Shishigami, and his subtitle's Belief. And it opens up on Bang and his people. What I like about this opening is, with everyone else's story, he just kind of comes across as like just a idiot who you wouldn't think has done and been through the things he's been through. So it opens up on Bang and his people rescuing people in the destruction of Ikaruga. And you get to the castle to save your lord and mentor, and Jin is there, and he kills him and wounds you. And it cuts to the city, and your people are they bring you a bounty for Ragna, and he wants to use this money to rebuild Ikaruga. So you run into Lychee and Tager, and you think Tager's a villain, so you fight him, of course. And you beat him, and Tager says to go after Lychee. So he has other things to tend to. You end up at, I think, the port, and you start yelling to yourself, and Ragna appears telling you to shut it, and so you fight. You beat him, and you're just really proud of yourself and happy for being able to beat him in the first place. And you just kind of leave him there and leave.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave for Lychee, and you get to her in Arakune, and Bang thinks she's under attack. Or, no, Bang thinks she's under Arakune's control because she wants you to leave. So you fight, and you beat him, and Arakune leaves. Lychee's crying, but Bang thinks it's because she's so happy that you saved her. And she leaves, and you're just confused why she doesn't love you now. And you head in the direction that you think her mind control is coming from. Makes sense. And Lychee's with Tao, and you get a branch here. And this is interesting. You get to choose what Lychee says to Tao, and this is the only time you pick another character's actions in your story. So you tell her that the man coming, which will be you, will buy food for her. and she heads off. And Tao attacks you because you have no meat buns for her. She loves her meat buns. And yeah, after this is you get to the branch, and Hakumen is about to kill Arakune, and Lighty gets in the way, and then Bang gets in the way, and you fight, and this fight's actually really tough. I had quite a bit of problems with this. I'm not too great at Bang. Are you?
Yeah, Bang he's kind of a difficult character if you don't know how to use him.
Yeah.
It's one of those characters where like a lot of his combos are like meant to be in the air.
Right, and you have to like do a setup because he can place things like in the stage. Those like magic seal things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hakumen's about to destroy everything, but you stop him, and when he goes, Hakumen ends up going like Super Saiyan but purple, and you die stopping him, and then you end up becoming a hero because you saved the city. And, everybody remembers you fondly, and that's his true ending, becoming a hero.
Still doesn't make sense considering that he took down one of the 6 heroes.
Right, yeah. And then, after you do that, you beat everyone's story, you unlock Nu's story and Hakumen's story. So, with Nu 13, subtitle Wish, you open your eyes and you're floating in like this space, and you say this Azure is the only world that you know, and you're in a white space and you see a shadow. Then it cuts to the city, and Carl comes up to you, snapping you out of it when he says Ragna, I believe. And Carl ends up leaving, and he returns with Nirvana, and he says they need you. They need the Azure, because you're a piece of it, apparently. And he talks about getting it somehow, whether it's cutting it off of you or milking it out of you. So, yeah. Carl's gonna milk Nu 13, and you destroy Ada after you beat him, and you leave. Leaving Carl there all mentally fucked up. Then you get the Jin in the branch, and he talks about you as if he knows you, and that Ragna's looking for you. Something switches, and huh?
No, it's just because again, like like how I brought up earlier, Nu looks like Noelle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, a flip switches in Jin, and then he starts saying like you won't take his brother away from him, and then you fight him. You have to get a distortion finish, your astral, and this is what took me like probably 20 tries. But you end up trying to fuse with Ragna, but Noelle Noelle saves Ragna, killing Nu as she falls into the cauldron.
Yeah, and that actually breaks the time loop.
So, okay.
Because it's the constant time loop is just Nu stabbing Ragna and they fuse.
Yeah.
Well, with Noelle being there and saving Ragna, it breaks the time loop.
So is this ending where like the next one picks up after?
Yeah, it should be, if not the true ending, like the final story.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Nu. And also, one thing about Nu and her combat, man, I kind of like her as a fighter, but her voice is annoying.
Yeah, and then
like
just half the things she said in across all the games, even in the anime, it's weird. She is weird.
Definitely, yeah. She's pretty good to play as, though. She's odd to play as, but she can really do some damage if you get those combos in of her. So then we get the Hakumen, the Atonement Hero, and it opens with someone talking about a space called the Edge, where nothing exists except for him, you, and you're floating there, waiting to be called upon, I believe. And Kokonoe contacts you, saying it's time, and you don't know who she is, but you call her Grimalkin, something made from cat and witch blood, I believe.
Yeah. She's a Kokonoe is a you know how she's also a beastkin? But
Yeah.
Her being Grimalkin, she is able to wield magic.
Okay, alright.
And you don't want to know you do not want to know who her parents are.
Why'd you say that? Now I'm curious.
You're gonna be mildly or very much disturbed.
I'm gonna look that up after this.
Do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah, do it.
Her father is Jubei. And her mother
Yeah. Who's your mother?
is Nine the Phantom.
Alright, I'm gonna let that roll around in my head for a little bit.
A human fucked
Yeah.
a humanoid cat. Or a mage, technically. She's one of the mages that... She's basically the one that made the weapons, the Nox Victoris.
Yeah.
So, have fun with that rolling in your head for a while.
This is just an odd place.
The Blazblue story is, that's all I'm gonna say.
Right. And I'm sure it only gets more interesting from here.
No, I think that's the worst of it. I think that's the worst of it.
Fuck. That's crazy. So... Oh, man. Where was I? Oh, yeah, she's Grimalkin, you find out. And she teleports you out to the city, and you start to have small memories of when you were human, when you get here. And Tao approaches you, and you think it's someone you knew in the war. Nope, that's someone else. So, she ends up wanting to play, so you fight. But you're about to get teleported away afterwards, but Jubei intervenes, and they start talking, and it's been 90 years since they last met, and Jubei tells you that Terumi has returned, which, kind of freaks Hakumen out a little bit. Apparently this was very bad. So you run into Bang, and he wants to have a battle with you so he can learn from one of the 6 heroes. And you beat him, and you acknowledge his strong spirit, and Rachel approaches you, and you hate Rachel. You just pretty much call her like a dirty demon. And she leaves, and you get to the branch, and Tager is here ready to take you in, but Kokonoe released you, so Kokonoe released you so Tager can bring you to her? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
She could just teleport him.
Yeah, that kind of confused me. I thought maybe I was missing something. But when you fight Tager, if you lose, you get teleported to Rachel's garden, and she talks some shit to you, and you start to kind of ramble, and you start to lose your words a little bit. And you fight her, and you win, and she's impressed, and she restores you back to your normal form, I believe. And you thank her, and you head to the branch to bring on the end. So, that's, I think Hakumen's full story is he's trying to keep the loop looping. Is that it?
Oh, that was this weird lag.
Oh, I think, am I understanding that Hakumen's goal here is to keep the loop, looping? Going?
I'm not, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, because his whole goal was to go to the branch and bring on the end, so... Yeah. And that's pretty much it for Hakumen. And playing as Hakumen, I love his weapon. It's just a huge sword that he wields very uniquely. And he'll, even smack you in the head with the hilt and stuff. But... yeah, he has some good moves, and his distortion moves are fucking insane. Like, they will rip you apart. And that's pretty much it. Do you remember exactly how the true ending goes, or shall I look it up and walk through it? Huh?
Oh, what? I'm sorry. I thought you were just saying something else.
Oh, do you know how the true ending goes, or should I look it up and talk through it real quick?
So, if I remember correctly, the true ending happens when Noel breaks the cycle, and then it breaks the cycle, and then I think at one point you fight. I think you fight a model of Hazma. I don't actually remember how the true ending happens. All I know is that you have to beat everybody's story to unlock it.
Yeah, I know from what I've seen. I think it's Jin and Hakumen at the end, and then that's when Hakumen's like, yeah. Whenever you beat Jin, he just talks shit like, wow, my former self is so weak, pretty much. And, yeah. But, yeah, that's Blazblue Calamity Trigger. We did it. There was,
it's a long ride.
Yeah, it is. And, when I started this game, I thought I was gonna have like 5 pages of notes because it's a fighting game, but no, I ended up with 16. So, which is actually kind of nice for a fighting game, you know. I like the story in here. The story is very good, and it makes me definitely ready to play the other ones. And it kind of makes me want to get into more like anime fighting games, like Guilty Gear or Underbirth. Just because I never really messed with them, because I was kind of intimidated because I'm not very good at them.
Oh, I just looked it up real quick. So, the true ending goes is that Ragnar talks to Jubei, and they just talking about hold on. I'm just like skimming through this for like a quick video of this real quick.
Okay, yeah, I edit. Go ahead, do what you need to do.
Just Ragnar talks to Jin, and then, or not Jin, Jubei. Then for 8 minutes, 8-minute conversation. Then transitions to Noel talking to Hazama.
Mm-hmm.
Then it transitions to another conversation with Ragnar fighting, so Ragnar and Rachel, to them fighting. Yeah, it's essentially the entire story, like, summarized.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's partially just everybody's story summarized with Ragnar mostly being involved. Ragnar fights Hakumen. Noel fights Nu. Ragnar and Rachel team up. Like it's like you have to sit down and watch this for like a good hour to know what's going on. There's an hour video of the true ending, so.
But
yeah,
I think we pretty much covered what happens with Noel's ending. But.
Yeah, well, just know at the end of Calamity, Ragnar and Noel work together, and that's how it starts to Ragnar's story and Continuum Shift.
Thank you for. Is there anything else you want to say about this game before we end it?
The story is convoluted. You gotta pay attention to everything to know what's going on.
Oh yeah, it's like it's not quite as hefty as like visual novel, but it's close.
Yeah, that's
yeah. But it does seem really, really confusing at the beginning. But the more you learn, it all kind of comes together in your head, I think.
Yeah, it starts to make sense, but you just gotta
you gotta
pay
stick with
very,
it.
very close attention to what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I hope that, you'll come back on in the future, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you need me for the later games in the series, I'd be down for it.
Hell yeah, sounds good. Thank you for listening to Never Enough Gaming. Y'all have a good one.